And these two, well, first the word balata is based on the word bala, which means power or strength. So balata just turns it into an abstract noun. And these two types of knowledge, interestingly, are concerned with listening to the Dhamma, how one listens to the Dhamma when it's being explained. So here the noble disciple reflects, do I possess the strength of a person who possesses right view? And what is the strength of a person who possesses right view? That when the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata is being taught, then he heeds it, that is, he listens to it very closely, he gives it attention, he engages it with all his mind, and he listens to the Dhamma with eager ears, as though he's trying to absorb everything he can with his ears. So it's not the case of just listening and letting the information come into one ear and out the other, but one pays very careful and close attention and tries to retain it. In the Buddha's day, especially, they didn't have, writing was not widespread. I'm not even certain that it was used at all. Certainly it wasn't used for to record spiritual teachings. And so to preserve the teaching as a guide for one's own understanding and practice, one has to pay very close attention to it. There's a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya where the Buddha speaks about 3 ways in which people listen to Dhamma. Maybe you could use these 3 ways to consider where you fit in. One way is like a bucket. They're all compared to a bucket. One way is like a bucket with big holes on the bottom. So if you pour water into the bucket with big holes on the bottom, what happens to the water?
Leaks out.
It leaks out.
Immediate.
What is it?
Immediate.
Yeah. Perhaps I've even said the bucket without a bottom. So then you just pour the water in and it just comes flowing right out. So that's the kind of person who goes to hear Dhamma talk. Then he comes back home and you ask him, what did you learn today when you heard the Dhamma talk? Then an embarrassed smile. It was very interesting talk. I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, people would say that, oh, I read this book of yours. It was very interesting. Then I would ask them, what did you get out of it? It would be, Okay, so that's like listening to it's like filling up the bucket when the bucket has a hole on the bottom. The water just comes right through. The second kind is like filling up a bucket, and the bucket has sort of little, almost indiscernible cracks on the bottom, where the bottom is welded onto the bottom is the base, where the bottom is welded onto the cylinder part of the bucket. Sometimes there can be little cracks. What happens to the water?
Slowly seeps out. Slowly seeps out.
It's
very slowly
seep
out.
Yes, slowly it leaks out. So, when you look at it right after the water's been poured in, you think the bucket is full, but 10 minutes later, if you look, you see the bucket is half full. Half an hour later, the bucket is a quarter full. 40 minutes later, the bucket is empty. So that's like a person who listens to the Dhamma sort of half attentively, They absorb some things. If you repeat the principles often enough, they'll remember, but other important things that are not stressed as much, they'll forget. And then after a few days, they forget everything. Then the third way of listening to the Dhamma is like the bucket, which is well constructed, solid, without leaks, without any cracks or holes. And so when you pour the water in, then the water will last, for weeks and months. That is like the kind of listening, it's the ideal way of listening. Listening with full attention and being attentive to what one hears. Okay, so this is the strength, the first strength of a person who possesses right view. That when the Dharma and Vinaya are being spoken, then he pays really close attention and engages it fully with his mind and then retains a large amount of it. Okay, so the disciple reflecting on himself knows, I possess the strength of a person who possesses right view. So that is the sixth knowledge. Then the seventh knowledge, again the disciple asks himself, do I possess the strength of the person who possesses right view? And what is that strength? Here, when the Dharma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata is being taught, he gains, here the text uses certain expression, Atta Veda, Dhamma Veda, Dhammupasanghitam Pamoja. The two keywords here, what is translated as inspiration in the meaning and inspiration in the Dhamma. The Pali words are the key words, or the key expressions are Atta Veda and Dhamma Veda. These two expressions are often paired in the text. It's difficult to know exactly what is meant by them. But the word Veda comes from the root Vid, which has two nuances. One nuance is that of to feel. So from Vid, we get the word Vedana, which means feeling. But the second nuance of Vid gives you the verb vindati, to find, and gives us the noun vijja, which means knowledge, higher knowledge. And from the root Vid, we also get the word Veda, which becomes the name for the sacred scriptures of Brahmanism. Originally, I think they were considered the words of wisdom, and so they were called Veda. Perhaps even the word wisdom itself comes from the same root, Vid. I'm not sure about that. In German, Wissen is to know. Anybody speak German?
Yeah.
You do. Wissen is knowledge or wisdom also, or just knowledge? Yeah, so it seems that there's a etymological connection between Vijja, or Sanskrit Vidya, and German Wissen. and English of wisdom. Okay, so according to the commentary, the word Veda here is a kind of, you might call it, a joyous understanding. It's a certain state of mind that combines understanding, the act of knowing, with a feeling of joy. So, I'm not sure whether it was Venerable Bodhi or myself who thought of inspiration as a rendering for Veda. Of course, inspiration conveys more the sense of joy, inspiration, upliftment, but also there's an insight here. And then that insight is directed to two things, Atta and Dhamma. The exact distinction between them, it's not very clear. The explanations in the commentary, not really so convincing. The way I understand it, inspiration in the Dhamma would be the inspiration that comes from the teaching itself, from the formulation of the teaching. Then Attaveda, the inspiration and the meaning, is the inspiration that comes when one understands the meaning and also gets some intuitive sense of the benefit that comes from the teaching. Of course, the word Atta also means good or benefit. So the word Atta has actually four meanings. Let's say three meanings. Goal, meaning, and benefit or good. And the way the word Atta is used in the text, it's sometimes difficult to separate out these meanings and say, in this place, Atta means meaning, in that place it means good or benefit, in that place it means the goal or purpose. But rather the three are just, often they're intertwined in a way that makes them inseparable. And so as the disciple is listening, he gets inspiration from the Dhamma, from the teaching itself, and inspiration from the meaning of the teaching, and from the sense of the benefit or good opened up by the teaching, and inspiration from the goal or purpose pointed to by the teaching. And so the strength of this disciple is in gaining that inspiration in the meaning, inspiration in the Dhamma, and this gladness or joy connected with the Dhamma. And when he knows that he possesses this, this is said to be the seventh knowledge attained by him, which is noble, supramundane, not shared by ordinary people. Okay, then the last paragraph of the sutta makes a very important statement. It says, it is a statement that confused me for some time. When a noble disciple is thus possessed of these seven factors, that is, these seven kinds of knowledge, he has well sought the character for realization of the fruit of stream entry. When a noble disciple is thus possessed of these seven factors, he possesses the fruit of stream entry. To explain my confusion gets a little bit technical, but I'll try it. I was uncertain. You see, we have two sentences here, and it seems that the first sentence is saying that the noble disciple who possesses these seven factors has the qualifications needed to realize the fruit of stream entry, but he has not yet realized the fruit. Rather, he's sort of accumulated the required conditions, and he's now on the way, on the path to realize the fruit of stream entry, but he hasn't yet realized the fruit. But then the second sentence says that the noble disciple who possesses these 7 factors possesses the fruit of stream entry, which means that he's already realized the fruit, not that he's on the way to realizing the fruit. So doesn't there seem to be something a little inconsistent or problematic there?
They don't seem contradictory, though.
Excuse me?
They don't seem contradictory.
Not contradictory, but...
Or mutually exclusive.
Excuse me?
Or mutually exclusive. They don't seem mutually exclusive ideas or contradictory ideas.
Yeah, certainly not contradictory.
So why can't you
Does anybody else have any idea? Yeah? Yeah, take the microphone.
No, it kind of reads to me like the noble disciple is thus possessed of the 7 factors, has well sought. So in other words, they've successfully pursued these qualities. And then the next sentence, which probably nowadays we would have made it all one sentence.
Yeah.
You know, and therefore is now a stream enterer. That's how I would have read it.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it now. But for quite a long time, it used to seem to me, not contradictory, but the first sentence seemed to be saying, as I said, that he's not yet realized the fruit, but he's got sort of assembled the prerequisites for realizing it. And the second indicated that he's already realized it. But now I see it that the way I see it now, the first sentence is referring to, it's sort of confirming that he has already assembled these qualifications and has realized the fruit. And then the second just confirms this. You will?
So does it imply that the process of acquiring the 7 knowledges is the content of the training of a person who's on the way to be a Sotapanna?
It's an interesting point, because some of them, I mean, at least a few of them, one could say is qualities that one has to develop. But others seem to me to be things that one can't quite acquire, but just sort of come spontaneously as part of the package with the breakthrough.
I thought that this whole section, starting from paragraph 8, or section 8, is about a person who is a noble disciple. So the person has to have attained stream entry. Person's on the way to stream entry is not a noble disciple yet.
Yeah, but you see, technically, there is what is called the person who is practicing for realization of the fruit of stream entry. And that person is considered a noble disciple, though not yet a stream enterer. That is a person who has entered upon the supramundane path, but not yet realized the fruit.
That solves a big Mahayana problem then.
Another question? Somebody has a question? Did you have something to contribute? I saw you.
Well, I was just asking if one has the qualification on the path, is it guaranteed that one's going to get the fruit? I guess that was when.
Yeah, the question is, if one, okay, you can put it, the microphone is coming to you.
I guess it was just a clarification if one has the qualifications,
If one has the qualifications.
whether the food is going to be guaranteed.
Yeah, but it seems that the way I understand this passage now, this is speaking about a person who already has the fruit. Do you agree with that? Any further questions? Okay, then we'll stop for now and we'll take the break. And then we'll come back here maybe about 10 after 12, or any points that you want to discuss. And we can discuss more leisurely. Okay, we end with sharing the merits. And then next week we have a class, and next week we'll take very interesting, or sometimes a little puzzling sutta. Puzzling, but stimulating sutta. This is sutta number 49, called Brahma Nimantanika Sutta, where the Buddha goes to the Brahma world and he has a discourse, it's a grand discourse with Brahma, one of the leading deities, and with Mara, the evil one. So it's a very dramatic, world-shaking discourse. Okay, and that will be next week, April 2nd. Remember, 9:30 we have the meditation. And it's good for those people who want to join the meditation, try to get here at 9:30 sharp, so that we don't have the doors opening and closing between 9:30 and 10 as people come in late. Okay, so let us share the merits. Akasata chabumata deva naga mehedika punyantang anumoditva Chiram rakantu sasanam akasata chabumata deva naga mehedika punyantang anumoditva Chiram rakantu desanam akasata chabumata deva naga mehedika punyantang anumoditva Chiram rakantu mam param etavata cham hehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe devanumodantu sabba sappati siddhya etavata cham hehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe bhudanumodantu sabba sappati siddhya etavata cham hehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe sadanumodantu sabba sampati siddhya bhavagupadaya vichihitato etantare satakayupapanna rupya rupicha sanya saninam dukha pamuchantu pusantu